Welcome to the Old Farts Fix It Corner. You guessed it, I'm the Old Fart. What the Fix It Corner is all about is me sharing with you some of the tricks and the things that I learned and the experience that I got through 20 plus years in the construction business to help you fix some of the things at home and save some money by doing it yourself. So let's look at the next project. In this project, we're going to build a set of benches that will double as the railing on our deck. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is install some back braces that are going to go across from here to here. And I got 52 inches. All right, so then when I ripped this, I ripped it with the same 5-degree angle that all the rest of this has been on. So we want to make sure we keep our 5-degree angle lined up with what we got going here. All right, so pre-drilled and pre-screwed. If you didn't notice, I have a helper here this time because I can't hold both ends at once. Thank you. This is here to help support the seat horizontally. There's another one we're going to go on the front, but we want to get the back ones in first. All right, so once again, need my helper to hold the other end. Once this is installed, we're staining these open cuts so that they'll be protected. Even though they'll be covered, it's a good idea to protect them. All right, next what we want to do is put our horizontal brace across the front. But in order to get the measurement for this, we can't just measure from the ends because we have to keep in mind that we have this 1.5 inch extra on each end. And plus we want to probably give it about a 1/2 inch overlap. So what we're actually going to do is measure from here all the way to this end of here. We have 118 inches. So we're going to make it 119 to give us our 1/2 inch overlap. All right, now we're going to take this, and what I've done is I've put a mark measured back 2 inches. Because we have 1.5 inches for the thickness of this, and then another 1/2 inch that we said was going to be our overhang. So that 2-inch mark is going to line up with the edge of this on each side. So again, we had our angle here. We make sure that the high part is facing out, the low part is towards the back. All right, so as I was saying, we measured in 2 inches from the end to account for our 1.5 inches here, plus the 1/2 inch overlap which we had. So we're going to keep this mark right with the edge of this. And we may have to pull these in and out a little bit because the front may have moved a little bit compared to the back. So you want to keep this flush. Now I'm going to move over to the other end and get that end up. All right, the first piece that we're going to install is on the seat, and it's going to be the front piece, and we wanted to do it in full length so that it goes all the way from one end to the other for a couple reasons. One, because we didn't want there to be a seam out here to catch the back of your leg, and two, it's going to tie everything all together. So what we want to do is we want to have a little bit of an overhang at each end and a little bit of an overhang in the front. About 1/8 to 1/4 inch on each one. So we'll just check it all before we screw it down. So we're going to start at one end and work our way across. Now that we have it lined up, we will go ahead and again we pre-drill. Put one right here near this end. And we're using 2-inch screws. And we're going to work our way along. In the middle, sticking out a little bit, the board is probably warped. So we'll pull that end in until we get the middle where we want it. Pull it in a little more. That's pretty good right there. Now we'll go down to this end and we'll pull it out to where we need it. That's one nice thing about wood, is you can manipulate it. To a certain extent, I guess. Alright, so now we got it lined up. Now we're just going to go ahead and screw it off. So there you can see there's the screw pattern. 3 at each one of the posts, and then 2 in between going into the horizontal brace. Now the rest of these boards will only go halfway because we're using leftovers from our old railing. Now the only board that we purchased was this front one, so the rest of it will need to be cut in half. Okay, so in order to do these other boards, what we're going to do is split it right in this center post. But I'm going to measure from the end of the board we just installed to the center here. And I come up with, about 60 inches. Let's see if it looks the same from this side. Well, not quite. 59 3/4. Alright, so the next piece goes in right here, and we're just basically 3 screws in each end, and we'll pre-drill them. And then we'll make sure that we stain this edge, because when we put the other board against it, we're not going to be able to stain it afterwards. I always put 1 screw in on one end, and then I'll go to the other end and put the other screw in so that I can be sure that the board is in the position I want it to be in. Alright, on this next board, we'll go ahead and do the stain before we put it in place, because otherwise we won't be able to get to it. On this one I noticed that the board is warped, so we're going to have to use a pipe clamp to pull it into place. So we'll start by putting our 3 screws in on this end, and then we'll pull the other end in. Alright, so this is a pipe clamp. That's what I was talking about. This end, I'm going to take a picture of it so I can put that on the video and show you. This end has a gap in it that we don't want. So we're going to set our pipe clamp up here. Alright, and then we'll just start turning it in. I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill my holes, get my screws ready. Okay. I'll just turn this in. All right, so what we're going to do is take this pipe clamp and pull this in till we remove that gap, like that. And then we'll go ahead and run our screw in. Need to get at least 2 of them in there before we release the clamp. You can see we released the clamp and it's in good shape. All right, and it's just basically the same thing over and over until we get all the seat in place, and then we'll start on the back. On this last board, if you remember, we put a horizontal brace underneath it. So we want to put a couple screws in that, and to make sure we hit it, we took a measurement, and we need to drill our holes at 3 7/8. And we're just going to need probably 2 of them, probably plenty. We just don't want that board to move back and forth. All right, now I'm just going to pre-drill a couple holes in this. This back piece, we're actually going to start at the top, but it's kind of hard to hold it and pre-drill at the same time. So I'm going to do that. So the reason why we're starting at the top and working our way down is because the last piece is going to have to be ripped, and I'd rather have the ripped piece on the bottom than on the top. So the rest of it's basically just the same thing, working from the top down. Just keep putting them in, keep it up to the touches. The top row was even with the top of the posts. And we just work them on in like that. All right, on this last piece, it not only has to be cut to length, but it has to be ripped to height. And we're measuring about 3.5. We'll probably make it 3 3/8, just so we have a little bit of room to move. And so that's what we've done here with this piece. We've cut it, we've ripped it 3 3/8, and now we're going to stain this edge before we put it on after we check it for fit. So this is our good side, yeah. Well, it feels a little tight, so I'm going to have to trim it down. All right, we trimmed it. We're going to check it again, see if it fits. Oh yeah, it fits now. All right, we're going to take it back out and stain that edge, and then we'll install it. This is the last piece. This is the one we've been looking for. And we stained the bottom edge and the ends. And now we're just going to screw it in, and we'll come back and let you see it once we wipe all the sawdust off it. All right, so there we have it. Here's our finished product. This bench is all done, and so is the other one. So we got 2 benches done. And next we'll work on the railing here to go around the grill. So there you have it. So we topped it all off with a 5/4 by 6 on the top.